Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1. You will hear a man called Matt inquiring about renting a holiday cottage. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Hello?
Oh, hello. I'm interested in renting one of your holiday cottages. I'm afraid I don't know your name.
I'm Alison. My husband Jonathan and I are the joint owners.
Good. My name's Matt Harmon.
How can I help you, Matt?
Some friends of ours have recommended your cottages to us. They stayed in one of them last summer, and my wife and I would like to come. Could you tell me something about them? They're part of a barn, aren't they?
Yes, they're on a farm, surrounded by countryside, and it's very peaceful. We've converted the barn into 2 cottages, which are both the same, and everything's on the ground floor. The living room is quite big, with comfortable armchairs and a sofa, dining table, TV, and Wi-Fi.
Okay.
The kitchen is part of the living room. It's very well equipped, including an electric cooker, fridge freezer, and microwave.
And is there a dishwasher?
I'm afraid not, as there isn't quite enough space for one.
Well, I'm sure we can manage without one. After all, it's only for a week.
And there's a double bedroom and a twin, both with plenty of storage space.
What about the bathroom? Does it have a shower?
Yes, a walk-in shower and a bath.
Excellent.
Let me tell you about the outside area. From the living room, there are glass doors leading out onto the patio, which is great for eating outdoors when the weather's fine. It has a table with a sunshade and 4 chairs, and catches a lot of sun.
Is there a garden as well?
Yes, each cottage has its own private garden. It's very pretty, and there's enough space for children to play. There's also a pond in the garden with fish and water lilies, so of course young children need to be supervised in case they fall in. And beyond the garden there are fields and a small wood, though you can't get into them directly from the garden.
That sounds very nice.
The cottage is on a bit of a hill, and you can see a long way in one direction. We're quite close to the river, and although that's just out of sight, from the bedrooms the marina is visible. It's a very attractive view. There's a restaurant there, which is useful if you don't feel like cooking.
That's handy. We might try it.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
As for facilities, we supply towels and bedding, and there's a laundry which both cottages use. It's in a separate building and has everything you need for washing and drying clothes.
I don't suppose we'll need to use it, as we'll only be staying for a week. Is there a parking area?
Oh, yes. There's a lot of room just outside, a couple of 100 yards after you turn off the road to reach the cottages.
Well, it sounds ideal. I'd certainly like to book a cottage. Would the week beginning the 7th of May be possible?
Oh, that's the bank holiday weekend, isn't it? I'll just check. Oh, I'm afraid both cottages are booked for that week. Would the 14th be any good for you? One of them is available then.
Let me think. Yes, that'd be okay. We'd need to change a couple of arrangements, but I don't think it'll be a problem. How much will it cost for a week?
Let me see. May is mid-season, so it's £372, and we ask for a deposit of £200 to secure the booking. As soon as we've received that, we'll send you confirmation. The deposit is non-returnable, so we advise people to take out insurance in case they have to cancel for any reason.
And the rest of the payment?
That's due 6 weeks before you arrive.
Okay, that's fine. Can I pay online?
Yes, I'll give you our bank details. The money should be transferred to A and J Gribben. I'd better spell out our surname for you. It's GRIBBEN.
Got that.
The sort code is...
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear the principal of a college talking to students about changes to the catering arrangements. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Right, good morning everyone. I'd like to tell you about our new food hall. As you know, the problem with the old canteen is that there's only one serving point, so people have to queue for a long time to be served. Well, the new food hall will come into operation next week. It'll have several serving points, so long queues will be a thing of the past. And the aim is to keep the food as healthy as possible. The Around the World food point, as its name suggests, will be truly international and serve food from a different culture each week. When the food hall opens, it's going to be Chinese food, followed by Mexican, and then South African. The catering staff are working hard to master lots of different cuisines. I'm sure many of you will be interested in broadening your horizons and discovering what's eaten in other countries. One of the serving points is called Trad, and this will serve the best of traditional British food along with pizzas and burgers. 6 students from the catering department will be involved in preparing and cooking the food for a week at a time as part of their training. British food may not have the best reputation, but I can guarantee that you'll be surprised how delicious it can be. Another food point is called Indian Delight. This will serve meat, fish and vegetarian food from different parts of India, as well as delicious desserts. You'll find the food is much more varied than in most Indian restaurants in this country. Everyone will be able to say what they'd like to see on the menu, so this will change from time to time to include your ideas. The Specials Corner will cater mainly for people who want to lose weight or are on special diets such as vegetarian or vegan or have food allergies. The catering staff will get to know people who regularly use this serving point and will be able to help them choose suitable food and tell them what to avoid. The deli will serve a range of wrapped cold food, like quiches and sandwiches, which you can take away to eat later, or at the picnic tables in the college grounds when the weather's warm enough. Although most people prefer hot food in the winter, we're sure some will find it useful to have this option in cold weather too. And finally, although some of the serving points will have salads available throughout the year, the salad bar will operate during the spring and summer terms. It'll serve a very wide range of salads using ingredients that are in season. If you think salads are boring, you're in for a surprise.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
The food served in the college consistently gets excellent feedback from everyone who eats it, and we're determined to maintain its high quality. At the moment, food is available at lunchtime and again before evening classes begin. In future, the food hall won't close in the afternoon. This will be more convenient for everyone, and while prices will be kept at the same level as they are now, we're introducing electronic cards which can be topped up online. This system will replace cash and speed up the payment process. I'm pleased to say that the catering staff are looking forward to the new system, as many of them would welcome the extra work, so additional staff won't be necessary. You may be wondering what will happen to the old canteen. Our original plan was to have it demolished and construct a new classroom block on the site, but that turned out to be too expensive. Instead, there will still be tables and chairs in there, so it'll provide additional seating. You can take in food you've bought in the food hall or that you've brought from home. And on the walls, it'll have paintings done by students from the art department. There are a number of these that can be taken out of storage and put on show, so we'll all have the chance to appreciate them. Okay, so that should bring you up to date with what's happening in...
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear some students talking about an assignment.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Anne.
What have you been doing?
Oh, just sitting around, catching up with some reading.
I've had a great time. You know we're doing this assignment on... what is it?
Museums, their costs and benefits.
That's right. Well, I've been to the Sandgate Museum. It was really good. These local museums are really interesting because they connect people with the history of one special place. We all know about kings and emperors and battles and wars, but local museums tell us about the everyday lives of ordinary people, and that's why they are so important.
I'm not so sure about that. I think they are of interest, but they're so small that they can't give a true picture. They do their best.
I don't really agree. They do give a true picture, but perhaps not a full picture. It's the truth, but not the whole truth.
I think the smallness is the number one problem. Because they're small and local, they attract few visitors. That's why they have so little money. And because they have little money, they can't buy or maintain many really interesting exhibits. As a result, the shop is almost as big as the museum to try to raise money by selling souvenirs, postcards, sweets and so on.
I think they find it difficult, but not impossible. And don't forget, they get a lot of their exhibits free from local people. There was this boat, for example, that was fantastic.
Really? What was that?
There was a massive fishing boat, a real one, about 100 years old, and you could walk on it and get the feeling of what fishing in those days was really like.
Sounds quite good. But I've always found that these kinds of museums are a bit dingy. For example, the display cabinets are so dark that you can hardly see the exhibits, and the labels are sometimes difficult to read.
Before you listen to the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Now answer questions 26 to 30.
So coming back to our assignment, what we've got to decide is whether these museums should be funded by the government or just by local people.
I think it depends entirely on what kind of museum it is.
How do you mean?
Well, take local history museums. They are small, so they won't survive without financial support. But that should come from the local authority, since only people in that area or tourists will visit it.
I agree, but what about big natural history museums? Surely they should get money from the central government.
Why? Children who want to learn about nature can go out into the countryside with their school teachers. They could survive from donations, and they get loads of visitors anyway. The state should spend more on science museums, since not enough people are studying science these days.
I'm not so sure, but I do think a sort of museum which should not get public funds is the craft museum.
Yes, like museums of cotton weaving.
Yeah, which are of interest to only a very small number of people, and they should pay for it.
I agree, but a working farm is a different thing again. That's something from the past of all of us, and so it's important to the local community. Kids can learn a lot too. That's the sort of thing that the local government should be spending its money on.
Yes, I agree. Well, I think we've got plenty of ideas for our assignment.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear part of a lecture about product life cycles.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. I'm going to begin my lecture today with a look at product life cycles. Now, as we go through the product life cycle, I will be trying to raise some issues which are important with regard to each phase of the cycle. I won't have all the answers for you this morning. This one of the lecture series is just to get you started and, I hope, interested. Let's start with the first phase of the cycle, that of product design. This is really the most important part of the cycle. We often talk as if it is consumers who are responsible for recycling, and so they are, but in reality, the major responsibility must be borne by designers. They can design products where recycling is easy and cheap, or difficult and expensive. In the latter case, the likelihood is that recycling, though technically feasible, will not in fact take place. Now, don't jump ahead, because the second stage is not product manufacturing, but rather that of materials acquisition. This is the activity we do when we mine coal or other minerals such as gold or iron or copper. In addition to mining, there is harvesting, which includes the cutting down of trees as a first step in the making of furniture or paper, or fishing. These activities have costs which are not only money costs. Pollution is one of the extra costs. We have also to think whether the resources we use are renewable, such as trees, or not, such as coal and other minerals. The third stage is not manufacturing either. It is materials processing. This is where we take the raw materials and use energy to change them into a form that can be used in manufacturing. For example, trees must be turned into paper or oil into plastic. The cotton plants that grow in the fields must be turned into cloth. All of these activities require the use of chemical processes, and, as with all chemical processes, waste is produced, often of a dangerous kind. And now we come to the manufacturing stage. This is usually the most expensive in terms of cost and energy and waste. The wastes are often those that contribute to global climate change. For example, we make 41 billion glass containers, mostly bottles, each year, and we throw most of them away. A lot of manufacturing seems unnecessary if we could only organise things better. And this could mean greater profits for the manufacturing companies too. Stage 5 is packaging. Stage 5 is packaging. Many products are packed in paper or plastic, which themselves, of course, have their own processes and costs. Excessive packaging is often criticised, but it must be remembered that packaging serves a purpose, often more than one purpose, such as maintaining freshness and hygiene, as well as providing information. In our globalised world, we must never forget the next stage, which is distribution. This is the stage where transportation and energy play a big part. Lorries, trucks, trains, planes and ships all use up the precious stocks of oil and, as we know, generate greenhouse gases, which, as we hear again and again, contribute to climate change. Stage 7 is the point of it all, using the product. Looking after products, using them in the recommended ways, timely repair and maintenance all reduce the need for early replacement and reduce the number of products in landfill sites. We should not encourage the purchase of single-use products, that is, products which are designed for use on one occasion only, and then to be thrown away and replaced. I'm going to skip a stage for a moment and move straight on to the final stage, which is disposal, putting the product in the bin. This is the end of the life of the product, and we lose it completely. It may have only a little value, but it does have a value even at this stage of its life, even in fact when it's actually in the landfill site. Now, I missed out one stage. This is a cycle within a cycle. That is, within the life cycle of the product, there can be a closed-loop cycle which can extract more value from the product. This is the reuse and recycle loop. It is a closed loop because, in theory, it can continue forever, though in practice, of course, this is not possible. Recycling products mean that they can be used to make more of the same product. CDs, bottles, books. or that they can be used to make different ones. For example, 1 pound of recycled paper can make 6 cereal boxes. And if we recycled all our newspapers, we could save 40,000 trees a day. Now, with this approach to the life cycle of a product in mind, we can go on to consider life cycle analysis.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.